Thanks to the many special guests for joining us tonight. And thanks to all of you for being a part of our path to victory. I'm Halie Soifer, CEO of JDCA, and I want to tell you how we got here, where we're headed, and what we can all do to ensure that Democrats win in the midterms. 2 years ago, JDCA had an event similar to this one on the eve of the Democratic convention. While we knew at the time the 2020 election would be close, we couldn't have imagined just how close it would be and the critical role that Jewish voters would play in ensuring that Joe Biden won that election. Despite winning the popular vote by a margin of 7 million, Biden won the Electoral College vote by just 113,000 votes in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. And in each of these states, which flipped from red in 2016 to blue in 2020, the margin by which Biden won was less than the number of Jewish Democratic voters. In other words, were it not for the Jewish Democratic vote, in those states, Donald Trump might still be president today. When the margins are this close in elections, every group can tip the scales. Each vote matters, and that's especially true for Jewish voters. As you've heard tonight, JDCA is the only national organization exclusively mobilizing Jewish voters to support Democrats who share our values. We did it in 2020 and through the Georgia Senate runoff, and we're doing it again in these important midterm elections. We're effective, efficient, data-driven, and impactful. New polling shows that Jewish voters continue to overwhelmingly support Democrats, and in even higher numbers than they did earlier this year. At the same time, the fastest growing segment of the Jewish electorate are independent voters, whose support of Democrats can't be taken for granted. These voters are making decisions based on individual issues and candidates. And let's face it, midterms aren't presidential elections, which usually means we're facing an enthusiasm gap between now and November. But in 2022, Republicans have helped to close that gap by overturning Roe v. Wade and threatening our democracy. Yes, we're somewhere between enraged and enthused, and we are rowing all the way to the polls. Democrats have also helped to close the enthusiasm gap with a string of recent accomplishments. And together, we can all close it by getting out the Jewish vote. That's why JDCA is charting a path to victory in this important election year. We're targeting voters to ensure the Democratic Party continues to be the political home for American Jews. Because these days, the other party is dominated by MAGA Republicans, candidates whose policies are antithetical to our values, who align with dangerous extremists and threaten the future of our democracy. Democrats, on the other hand, they're aiming to pass legislation to codify abortion access, to make it harder to access the deadly guns that threaten our communities and our schools, to defend our democracy and to protect the planet. Under President Biden, Democrats have made progress delivering results for the American people. To quote none other than President Biden himself, this is a big freaking deal. Yes, it's a BFD for Americans, but for Jewish Americans in particular, because he's making progress on issues that matter, like passing the largest investment to combat climate change in U.S. history. This is an investment into Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, which we hope will last l'dor v'dor, from one generation to the next. In recent weeks, we have seen voters embrace democratic values and reject Republican extremism from Kansas, to New York, and even Alaska. And today, 49 days before the midterms, there is reason to believe that Democrats will win. We know it won't be easy, and we know it will be close. And we know the Jewish vote can and will make the difference. Today, Democrats hold the slimmest congressional majority in modern American history. Just look at the Senate. In order to maintain the majority, Democrats have to hold on to seats in Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, New Hampshire, and Colorado. And if we want to pick up seats, we have to do all of that and win in Wisconsin, Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, or North Carolina. In these races, strong Democratic candidates, including many we heard from tonight, are running against Trump-aligned extremists who deny the outcome of the 2020 election, deny the existence of climate change, and want to deny reproductive rights to half the population. Even Mitch McConnell thinks the GOP has a candidate quality problem. And while we don't say this often, he's right. This helps Democrats in the Senate, and the House is in play too. For months, Republicans have celebrated what they thought would be a tidal wave in the House, but today the tide has turned. In recent weeks, purple seats have started to look a bit bluer, and red states have started to look purple. This year, against the odds, Democrats could reverse the midterm curse and hold on to our majority. Which brings us back to the Jewish vote and the importance of mobilizing both Democrats and independents to vote blue. That's what we're doing this election cycle, targeting Jewish voters in the races that will determine the majority in Congress. We're using precisely targeted digital ads that support our candidates and demonstrate the extremism of Republicans. And we're directly engaging voters. But we can't do this work alone. That's where all of you come in. You can take action with JDCA by volunteering and, of course, donating to support our work. We need your time, your efforts, and your resources so we can do even more. Here are 3 ways you can get involved, and please give today by using the link or by texting JDCA to 243-725. That's JDCA to 243-725. Before November 8th, we're aiming to reach even more voters than we did in 2020, and we need your help. So that's our path to victory. With all of you as a part of our movement, Democrats can and will win in November because we are stronger together. We're the Mensches in the trenches, the tribe with the good vibe. And of course, we are Jews against coups. And we're coming to a close election near you. Thanks.